Hello, here is our CSCI 352, our digital forensics right here. And here will be our last lab, okay, for our semester. And as the last lab, also I know maybe you're pretty busy on your some other assignments and maybe your the last one, okay, or maybe you're busy on other projects, okay. Um, so for this lab, you don't have to submit any assignment or you don't have to submit any labs, but I do recommend like if you're watching and try to install. So we will went through the previous lecture related to for the network like analysis, right? And of course, there's a one useful tool we use. Like if you see in the previous lab, we mentioned the Kali Linux. So that one you can install it, and because it contains different type of tools you can use. Okay, so it's pretty helpful and useful. Okay, so if you want to follow the labs, then of course you can download it. Okay, and then the next one is that we will continue our previous lecture related to networking. So today we will talk about the address resolution protocol for instance. Okay, and then we will use the lab files. So it's doing the APR spoofing. Okay, so since you are not required to submit any lab, so I will go through all the contents and then some basic conceptual knowledge, and then if you're interested, you can like follow all the steps and then download the file. Okay, so do it answers. You can download it, please. And in the beginning, we'll talk about some ways the AP ARP protocol insights, and then where's the ARP tables, and then where's the some give you demo and how can we capture the traffic. Okay, and then we will cover the part of the doing the poisoning. Okay, and then get evidence, and how can we analyze the evidence. So here's the idea. So here they call the address resolution protocol. We call that ARP, right? So what's the motivation we want to look at it? So start from the like IP address to the MAC address. So we have the ARP. So when the device on the network, okay. So if they want to send the data to another device, so it need to know what's the MAC address, the media access control, okay, address of the recipient, okay. So we say, but however, devices only know the IP address of the devices, then how can we know? Okay, so the ARP protocol is used to map a network address. So we say it's a IP address, okay, and then to the physical media address, so would be the MAC address on the local network. So here's the idea of the ARP, okay. And right here, we giving more like other details information like we talk about. You see we have the layer. So for the data, including the application presentation session layer, okay, 765, okay, and then we have the transport, the segments, and then we talk about the packet. Okay, so is the in the network layer, and then we have the frame and data link. Okay, and then the bit we're sending in the physical layer. Okay, right here. And we'll see mainly focus on the ARP, which belongs to the network layer. Okay, so we'll be like for all those that packages and okay. So including the IPv4, IPv6, if we mention about the IPv4, when we need to go down, okay, to the data link that may through the internet. Okay, so that's why we need to know the ARP. Okay, so right here protocol, but for others, if you're interested, you can look at like the Modbus. We talked about the Modbus before, CIM, ICCP, all these like HTTP, you know a lot, okay? And then also there's some like for presentation, we have different type of compression and encryption protocol. And in the session, like including NFS, SQL, like SMB, okay, all these or tunneling, okay. So all these is like belong to session, right? And then transport TCP, UDP, okay. And when we go down, we have the different type of like cable connection, okay, optical fiber. So right here, so for the ARP or ICMP, so if you remember, so we can like both like ping using both of these like protocol, okay. So it will be like this. And how it actually works. So if I have the device A, so we just given like IP1, MAC1, okay. So want to send the data to device B. So we given, okay, IP3, MAC3 on the same network. So they belong to the same network. Okay. So in the beginning, if device A want to send an ARP broadcast, so they will need to request a message to discover what's the actual physical address of device B, right? Okay. So maybe device B, okay, respond with its like physical address, then device A can use this information to send the data to device B. So it's just like for this one you're using the podcast of just like for the okay, do you know where's IP3? Okay, who is that owns the IP3? So yes, and then just have reply, okay. And so maybe device B right here we sending, okay, I know where's the MAC address of IP3 because right now this state device B is the owns the IP3, right? So it can return the MAC address, okay, back to device A. Okay. Of course, we involve like other, like let's say high level 3, like the router that we know, and we just like securing this part. Okay. And also we have the ARP table. Okay. So the ARP table, so used by the computer or the network device. So it can store the mapping between the IP address, MAC address on the local network, or some there will be one table for each device. Okay, so we can store all this. It can allow the device to communicate with each this like efficiently on local network. So without the need for the manual configuration of the MAC address. So it's really helpful. And also it's dynamic. So if they can change over the time. So once the device join or leave the network, and because for the IP address, they are not sometimes we call the DNS, right? So dynamic. So why is it dynamic? Because they sometimes you will say, okay, you always get the same IP address, okay, but actually there's no unless you manually assign the static IP address like bind with the MAC address, then the router, okay, those devices know which IP address should assign to this device. If no, you just lucky, like I can say like lucky because the router always assigning the same IP address to this device, okay? And right here you see like we have the table, we have the IP address, and there was the MAC address, and there was the expire. Okay, so normally actually they will always expire. So if you look at your router and then you look at the configuration, like the IP address, like they will be expired within certain of time. Okay, but just like the table, the DNS always assigning the same address to this device. So you need to know, okay. And right here, there's some more important things that is the critical protocol for the proper functioning of the LAN, okay, for our local area network. So without the ARP, so all the devices on the network, so they will not be able to communicate with each other like properly. This is really important. So this is important. We need to understand ARP is so important, okay, for the network administrators or anyone who works with the computer network. So that's what we need to know. Okay. Here, give you just a screenshot. I'm telling you if you use the ARP. Okay, so if it can show, okay, what's the IP address. Okay, this one is the router, let's say we see, and then what's the hardware the connect time is that okay, and then what's the hardware address. So this one also represents the MAC address. And also you're giving some what's the flag right here. So just like giving is the address that dynamically learned, and then consider right here what's the interface. Okay, and if we using the if config, okay, right here, so it will tell me, okay, the MAC address. Okay, so we can use it later or somehow, so we can get it. Depends on different system. Okay, we have the IP config, IF config, so depends on the system. I can show you right here. Let me turn on my terminal. Okay, so okay, so if you see, I have like different types. So even like but I only focus on the local. So maybe the Ethernet. So let me show you maybe like for the local and also for the Ethernet right here. And we can see like what's the Ethernet, what's the MAC address. Okay, so or like internal address right here. So I can like assign right here. So just like you can use it, okay, to search it. So pretty easy, straightforward. Okay, so you can get all this information. And when you want to like get all this table, like you can show if you access to your maybe or device like maybe your router, so you can list all this like table. Okay, so you can see all the when you get in the ARP, so you will see all the devices that connected, what's the IP address, what's the MAC address. Okay, maybe using which interface. Okay, maybe the words looks different, but we can obtain all this information. Okay, so that's why we can. And right here, one of the actually we can do like try to manipulate the ARP table entry. So we can use ping the ping to test it. Okay, so see if they are running, okay, those like machine they are running on the network. So if they're connected, okay, using the ping, and then you say, okay, it received it, that means that it's working, and then we can check in the ARP. So when you ping it, so compare with the ARP table actually. So for the ping, as if you remember we talked about it, so the ping using the ARP protocol, so we try to find the target machine MAC address, okay, and then the new entry entry to the ARP table. So it will how it looks like. So once you ping it, and then you can add it. Okay, so here's the idea. And if you look at this graph, like starting, we have always a gateway IP. So you know we have the gateway, maybe your router, okay, and then we have the maybe on the gateway MAC address, and then we have the victim's IP, okay, or the victim MAC address right here. And right here using, see the KDK is the tool I can introduce, and I will show you by the last part when we went through all this lecture. Okay, so we can see right here, so maybe we're the router IP right here, and then also the gateway, right? So we're sending some from the victim's IP, sending to like the victim's MAC address. So right here, and then maybe when we listing right here, so internet IP address referring to that we're sending, okay, and that was the MAC address. So it's the whole communication is just like saving in the ARP table, okay, and so when you want to delete it, okay, so if you want to delete, so you can just like ARP passing in the parameter txt. Okay, so this one you can delete. So it will remove the um the ARP table like binding with the IP address and the MAC address. Okay, so just remember this one. And then how can we capture it? Okay, so we have the T-sharp. Okay, we can use a T-sharp txt. So this one maybe we want to look at our Ethernet serial port. Okay, so we're using this one, so we can like T-sharp, and then passing parameter like I, and then information of like Ethernet serial. Okay, I want to do in the ARP. Okay, and then maybe capture all everything the ARP. So this one can capture it. Okay, so because this one you need to install the Kali Linux, it's easier, or like if you have the unique Linux system, you can install it. Okay, but it depends on your preferences, okay? And then you can stop it. So after we just like get the right here, the main capture, okay, so we capture it, and then we can ping. Okay, so ping, and then with just like 3 package, so you can define, okay, how many package you're gonna send, okay, and then to this IP address. And after we receive, oh, here's the idea, and you can open the Wireshark, right? Okay, to capture it, and you can see the some requested message, including destination is the broadcast. If you remember, that is the broadcasting. So, and then including for the ARP, okay, address restriction protocol. Actually, when you look at it, so including, so it's the uncle request one, and then so maybe right here, maybe in the beginning. So I have a target IP address, but I don't know what's the target MAC address like this. Okay, and you can open this one and download it, okay, for the spoofing. Okay, so for the ARP PCAP, so you can download and then open using Wireshark. And later after we send it, so if you see the sequence like 3 and then 4, Okay, so after we reply the message, just expire right here. So right now we can receive it. That was the target machine. Like in the beginning, I don't know like who. Okay, so just like broadcast all this message. Okay, and then see okay who won, and then after reply, so we know what's the target machine. So we apply the MAC address, so we can receive it. And right here, it just I want to using the ARP field like in the Python script library. So or I compare with the using Wireshark. So right here we just like passing the value so you can match it. Okay, so will be the opcode. Okay, so if we want to scan what's the opcode and then with the hardware source. Okay, compare with the pins. Okay, the source where's the IP. Okay, so and then maybe the we refer to what's the target MAC address or the P this thing what's the target IP address. So it will giving like what's the source the MAC address and then source IP and then destination IP and then destination MAC address. Okay, so here just like different way to presenting the content. So you can use the Python to using the scan um py to list it. Okay. And we talk about ARP poisoning. So what's the spoofing or poisoning is do. So it's the one of the cyber attack. So where like when an attacker they want to send some like false address ARP message over the local network over the LAN. So when they're doing this, they can associate their own MAC address with the IP address of another device on the network. So they can allow is they can intercept or modify data they intend like for that device. Here's the idea. So it's called spoofing, okay, or poisoning. So for the spoofing attack, so they can use to like conduct like maybe the man in the middle attack, or we can like steal the sensitive information or cause some like the network disruption. Okay, doing it this way. Then what's the possible way we can prevent the ARP spoofing? So maybe the administrator they need to implement some measures, let's say the ARP spoofing detection software, or we can limit some like numbers of devices on the network, or we can use them like virtual NAN, so we can prevent. Okay. And when we say the spoofing, so we just like using this identity. That means using the IP. Okay, person. For poisoning, then we is the consequence of the spoofing. So we're doing this one. So this the words like for spoofing and poisoning. So like before the attacking maybe the API. So maybe the attacker they want to like sending it the request the gateway, and then we to like through the victim's IP MAC address returning. So maybe for some victims, they're thinking, okay, for this IP, I think it's going to this MAC. So once they infected after the attack, so they were thinking, okay, um, maybe the victim say, okay, just tell me, okay, the attacker, I'm the gateway. So actually you're going through the attacker and then sending from the victim. So the gateway thinking the sender, the source like is from the victim, okay, right here. And then from the victim is thinking the destination sending is the gateway, but it actually is the attacker. So it's the idea. Okay, so it's the so because like when they try to when the victim or the gateway right here, so when they try to receive, so it can cause like for the gateway thinking, okay, the victims, okay, will be the matching for the IP is the matching to the attacker's like gateway MAC address, and then for the victims, they think the gateway IP actually is pointing to the attacker's MAC, so it would be like this way. So when here the problem because the attacker can send the ARP response message to anyone, so including the victim and gateway, right? So on the line, okay, so without any like ARP request to poison anyone, so no matter the victims or gateway ARP table, okay, and it caused like what is the consequence right here? Okay, so the gateway or victims they can like go to wherever the IP address the attacker inject into their ARP table. So it's like this. Okay. So there's a whole communication, and then here's the idea. So because you just bounding the attacker like MAC address. So like right here, so when they try to poison the ARP, okay, so that's like how actually works as a man in the middle, because like everything goes through attacker. So right here from the gateway, we say, okay, just I think I go to a victim IP, actually go to attacker's MAC address. Okay, so right here, and then for the victims, if thinking I'm going to the gateway, actually I'm also going to the message address right here. So it's like how the man in the middle attack like happen. So you can download the ARP attack code, okay, from the Git if you want to look at it, and then you can get some what's the printing either way, so you can listen if you will be using the Python 3 to listen. Okay, so showing the giving an IP address, and then when you look at it, so it will see, oh, okay, and also we can use the Python function using the library to obtain the MAC address on the device on the local network. So by the like we try to like get B and then ARP. Okay, so they will try to get the this IP address of destination, and then also um this DST. So this when they try to podcast, okay, try to like sending just the IP for the podcast, okay, and then they can like request it from it, okay, from the podcast they return of an ARP request, and then they can like get the answer list, and then they can get it. Okay, so they will return the answer list of the MAC address. So far right here, you can see like passing for the we all know the in the beginning. So when we try to create the broadcast, we just like set the destination of the MAC address like FF. So this like is a frame for like for broadcast. So you know, and then in the later it try to combines all the ARP request package and then the Ethernet broadcast frame in the single package. So right here, and then we can use the ARP function, okay, SRP. So this one can send the combined package to the network. So next step, when we save the list of package in response, so within the timeout period of like 5 seconds. So it's like this, and then the verbals, the arguments right here, you just set to false, like to suppress like the output. And the last part, the function will return the MAC address of the first device that we provide to the ARP request. So this one is like obtaining the MAC address. So of the second element of the first element in the list response. So far will be like here will be the structure. And this one is another Python function. So it's like telling you, okay, for spoofing, if we need to perform the ARP spoofing attack, so on the local network. So right here, so it's just telling the package right here, and then if you giving the output to, if you remember like the destination IP, so it goes to the target IP, and then this time we try to get that MAC address, like what's the target IP. This one will be the one automatically attach the ARP response. So if you remember this part, and then we just like sending the package. Okay, verbals like is false. Okay, so and then the later part. So this one will be like get the MAC address of the interface we are using, and just like send it. Okay, so it's just like printing everything. So right here, you just need to know mainly the arguments that we're taking is that one is the target IP and then the host IP. Okay, so will be the target IP is the IP address of the device. So that means that the ARP table we want to spoof. Okay, and then also the host IP will be the IP address of the device. So will be the target device we want to like communicate with. So here we just need to be careful. And then for the rest, you just like remember for the verbose, if when they send it to true, that means the function will print a message indicate the ARP that reply the package. So send to the target just like along with the MAC address of the attacker's own interface. So will be you need to pay attention of this part. And then once we really start to do the spoofing. So we just say always true. Okay, so we try to capture what's the victim's IP address, and then what's the gateway IP address, and set the verbals to true. Okay, then we can start. Okay, so when it's true, when we do the spoofing, so we just telling the target. Okay, so we are the host. okay, and then giving a verbal true. And then the next step, we are telling the host this time, we are the target, okay, and then we set the verbals to true, so we'll be like this. So you can see the slightly change, but one thing is like we are the victim's IP target and the host. Okay, so we just telling each of the others. Okay, so we are the one like the address. So you can like perform in this way. So after we execute, so we can just like sending, and then you will like see because you once remember once we reply. Okay, so they will update the ART table. So after we they just like execute and go through all the steps. And then you will see the victim machine learners, they kind of like freeze because we already sending this one, arp.python, okay. And then what's the next step? Like after we I'm able to send all this like spoofing, okay, package this, how can we capture it and access? So after we sending it, so through the attacking process, so we send it one to the router, one's the victim IP, okay, and giving the MAC address. Okay, once after we stop it, okay, so we're using the T-shark if you remember, and then just using the just read at it. Okay, where's the ARP? And after we capture it, and you can download it or you can look at it. So we're using the Wireshark to okay, to check the in the beginning. So in the beginning, if you remember, so we're using the kind of Linux like this address in the beginning. So right here, if you see the FC right here, and then the VM right here, so we just sending. So you need to send the ARP opcode like 2, if you remember, like for the ARP replies only, and then we just see that was the sender IP address is the spoof IP, and then we just giving with the MAC address, so will be the VM's MAC address, and another one, when we look at the gateway right here, so from the sender's MAC address from the VM, and then the IP by 194, if you remember, and then when we send to the target MAC address, okay, it's the router and the IP address. So right here, so they will duplicate the IP address detected. So you see, okay, 194, and then the line chain of the FC. Okay, so using right here, so framing. So far, it will telling you just like targeting gateway will be our senders like right here. Okay, so here's a way we're doing. And for all these like ARP spoofing, so for the attacker, so they just like spoof or like fails the IP in the ARP message. So it's like pretty similar. Okay, so to the identity like thief, like if we want to do the spoofing. So right now, if you know how it works, okay, so for the ARP spoofing, they need to like penetrate it, like to deceiving the victims in order to get access to sensitive information. Also, the ARP message that like trick other devices on the network. So into like sending the traffic to the attacker device, like instead of like original the victim device. So it can allow the attacker to intercept and steal the sensitive information. So far we'll be like doing, and because I'm not giving you, so you don't have to do the last assignment, and just prepare for your like previous uploaded assignment, so you don't have to do the last one. Okay, and as the last part, you can like install your VM, and then you can go to the KDE's you can search it. Okay, so you can just like install it. So it depends on your platform. If you're using like Windows, okay, maybe Windows, you can look at your sometimes you can look at like they have some VM recommended. Okay, so they have different like for platform like VM VirtualBox, okay, and you can download it and install it. But if you are using like Apple, okay, or like some ARM device, then you can download, or like the installer, for the installer version, then you can choose because they have the ISO file, so you can download it. So you can install it for the 32-bit, 64-bit, or if you're using Apple, they have the ARM64. Okay, so they have so many versions. So after you install it, then you can just like start running it, and then just like quickly go through right here. So okay, because I don't have a internet connection. Okay, so NAT, so it's right now it doesn't have it. And you can, after you log in, so it takes some time to configure, and then after you install it, you have all these application you can use. So including the spoofing. So if you remember the spoofing and then all the apps we can use. So it's really useful. Like you don't have to install the tools like one by one or set up everything by yourself. Okay, so you can use the tools. Okay, so like sometimes for example, okay, or other totally provided, then you can use it. Okay, so it's pretty useful and helpful. So at least if you are not following the task, like to go through all this to help you build better understanding what's the ARP spoofing, at least you can install the Linux to use it. Okay, so far this lab will be like finished pretty quick, and hopefully you enjoy it. And I will record the lecture as a last part of the lecture, and then that's it for our class. Thank you.